In the beginning there was a question so deceptively simple that a child could ask it, and yet so profound that it shakes the very foundation of faith. Can a being of unlimited power create something beyond its own reach? Can the infinite impose limits on itself? For over 1,000 years, philosophers and scholars have wrestled with this paradox, a puzzle that doesn't just challenge the idea of God, but stretches the very framework of logic. Some questions don't merely seek answers. They consume them. They act like black holes of thought, pulling in certainty, faith and reason, until nothing emerges unchanged. One of the most famous of these is the paradox of the stone. It hides behind childlike wording. Can God make a stone so heavy that even he cannot lift it? At first glance, it seems trivial, almost playful, but beneath the surface lies a riddle that cuts through centuries of theology and philosophy. Imagine the world in the year 1150. Monks in dimly lit scriptoria carefully copy sacred texts by hand, devoted to an all-powerful God. And yet, even here, in the margins of their manuscripts, whispers of a troubling thought begin to appear. A question that first emerged in Islamic philosophy through the writings of Aros, later resurfacing in Christian scholastic debates. Always the same. Can God create a stone so massive he cannot lift it? The logic feels inescapable. If God creates the stone but cannot lift it, he is not all-powerful. If he cannot create it at all, he is also not all-powerful. In both cases, omnipotence seems to collapse in on itself. The great theologians of the Middle Ages recognized the danger. Thomas Aquinas argued that omnipotence should not be understood as the ability to do what is logically impossible. God cannot make square circles or married bachelors, or stones too heavy for himself. By this reasoning, such contradictions are meaningless, not limitations. But notice what this defense required. To preserve the idea of limitless power, they had to draw boundaries around it. They placed logic as a cage around the infinite. This raises an uncomfortable question. If God is bound by logic, is he truly free? Or have we reshaped him into a figure who plays only within the lines of human reason? So what does it really mean to be all-powerful? Human power is always relational. It's power over something. But omnipotence claims authority over everything. And yet, perhaps true unlimited power would also include the freedom to give up power, to limit itself, to allow something outside of control. Modern physics offers an intriguing perspective. In quantum mechanics, particles can exist in multiple states at once, collapsing into one only when observed. Light is both wave and particle, until measured. Reality itself seems to bend under paradox. What if divine power functions in a similar way? What if the stone both can and cannot be lifted until God chooses how to engage with it? What if omnipotence is not a fixed condition, but an ever-shifting field of possibilities? But maybe the paradox is flawed at its core. It assumes that lifting or weight has any relevance to an omnipotent being. Asking whether God can lift a stone might be as meaningless as asking whether he can draw a square circle. Perhaps the riddle tells us more about the limits of language than about God. We're trying to capture the infinite with words designed for the finite. Across centuries, this paradox has buried many certainties. Some thinkers abandoned the idea of omnipotence altogether. Others redefined it beyond recognition. Some even embraced the contradiction itself. But maybe the value of this question is not in reaching an answer, but in allowing it to reshape us. Perhaps the true power of the paradox is that it forces us to confront our craving for absolute answers. It challenges the illusion that reason or faith can ever stand alone without limit. And so we return to the stone itself. Can God create one he cannot lift? Maybe the answer is that he already has. Look around. Every act of free will, every choice born of love, every moment of genuine moral decision. These are stones. Even omnipotence chooses not to move. Not because it cannot, but because ultimate power may express itself in restraint, the ability to allow true freedom to exist. Maybe omnipotence is not about dominating everything, but about creating what does not need domination. Perhaps the highest expression of power is the choice to let something exist on its own terms. This paradox will long outlive us. It will persist even when our most confident answers dissolve. Because not all questions are meant to be solved. Some are meant to be lived with. So here we are, face to face with the riddle again. Can God make a stone he cannot lift? Or perhaps the better question is, can you live with not knowing? That is all for today's video. Please like and subscribe as this helps the channel grow. See you in the next video.